If you're taking on the role of being a director, you've signed up for a big task.
Making sure companies pay for performance is the biggest issue facing compensation committees.
I think the dynamic is changing, and I think the basis for competition is going to shift to technology and innovation.
Corporate Board Member presents the Board Governance Series, with series contributors PwC, Meridian Compensation Partners, and Board Vantage. On this edition of the Board Governance Series, Growth and Value in a Volatile World, with Tom Craren, Partner, Brand and Thought Leadership, PwC.
Hi, I'm Laura Finn, Web Editor of BoardMember.com, and today I'm pleased to welcome Tom Craren, Partner for Brand and Thought Leadership at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Tom, thanks for coming to the boardroom today. Now, you came last year to talk about PwC's CEO survey. PwC's been doing it for 15 years, and this year you titled the survey, Delivering Results, Growth and Value in a Volatile World, which is an interesting title. So could we start by having you summarize some of the findings?
Sure. I think the most important finding, is that we've had a dip in confidence among CEOs. I think roughly 40% were optimistic about their own growth as compared to almost half of them last year. So that's a pretty noticeable dip, a slip in optimism from a year ago. I think the events in Europe are taking their toll. I think that's the major thing they cite as their reason for having less confidence. So the other important finding is that almost half of them also believe there's going to be a contraction in the global economy this year. So very volatile. So they're optimistic, still relatively optimistic about revenue growth, but equally concerned about economic growth, which is something we've never seen before.
And did the CEOs say what role they see their boards playing in managing through this volatile economy?
Well, I think it's they want a consulting role almost with them. And one of the CEOs we interviewed face-to-face said that he looks at his board as advisors to help him navigate through this difficult time. And if you think about where they're doing business now, it's all over the world. It's in places they don't necessarily know very well. They're dealing with new kind of technology. They're dealing with the digital transformation. So they need the help. And what they'll tell you is that they increasingly look to their board as an advisor just to navigate through the sheer complexity of business.
What are some of the other trends that you found in the CEO survey results?
Well, I think there's a continued interest in the emerging world. So they see this huge emerging middle class, and it's undeniable that it's going to create growth opportunities for them. So despite all their concerns, they're still investing in China. They're looking at places in East Asia. They're looking at the Middle East. Even Africa has become a source of growth for them. So that hasn't gone away. And I think it's just going alongside this huge concern about Europe in particular. So you'll hear them mention business issues like they're worried about having the right people, the right talent deployed around the world. They're worried about deploying technology in a way that helps them compete. And they are still worried about costs.
Now, one thing you didn't just mention is risk. I hope companies are still worried about managing risk.
They are, but I think it's managing, I think you'll hear the world increasingly resilience in the future rather than managing risk. Because again, the complexity means they can't always anticipate every kind of risk they're going to see. So if you're not familiar with laws or customs in Asia, how can you identify risk, much less manage it? So I think what they're doing is they're saying, if something bad happens, we want to survive it. We want it not to hurt the company. So Japan is an example, right? The tsunami basically wiped out the auto industry, Japan's auto industry for a year, and they don't want an event like that to harm their businesses. So I think they're looking at being more resilient rather than anticipating every form of risk they can.
Tom, did the CEOs overall have one or two major concerns that you found?
I think their biggest concern is that they're competing on a global scale, and they feel like the U.S. government is not supporting them and doesn't understand how powerful that trend is. So a lot of them, at least in the face-to-face interviews, expressed that and said, gee, can't the government see that the world is becoming a very competitive place for us, for U.S. companies, and why can't they be more helpful? Why do we have this adversarial relationship going on now? I think we've heard that a lot.
That's great. And we're going to put a link up on the screen to the survey so that our viewers can look at all the findings, because I think we could talk for hours and hours about what you found.
Right.
This is a great way to just highlight some and see the rest in the supplement.
Good.
So thank you so much for coming. I look forward to seeing what you have to say again next year when the survey comes out. Hopefully we'll be in a better place economically by
I
then.
hope so too.
Thanks a lot, Tom, for
You're
being
welcome.
here. And thank you so much for watching this edition of the Board Governance Series.
Tom Craren can be reached at tom.craren@us.pwc.com. The Board Governance Series is a presentation of corporate board member in NYSE Euronext Company.